say, in adding to the point about Janice Godwin, she was definitely coming tonight, but she was taken into hospital in Glasgow, or the dental hospital, to have her back molar come out, and I said to her, well, I don't know about that, but you won't even be able to speak if you did come out. But she would have made some really important points, no doubt, about the experience of the socialists and left inside her union going back 30 and more years. PCS and before that, the CPSA, the Civil Service Union, conducted a struggle against the right wing who dominated the leadership of that union for decades. They used every legal device to stay in power. But one thing the right wing never had in that union was they never had control of the conference. The annual conference of the CPSA and now the PCS was always in the hands of the left, always in the hands of the activists, and it was a different era to what's happening at the present time. History won't repeat itself exactly as far as that's concerned. And they would have made that point, but I echo the points made by Glenn, that you cannot just stick yourself in a fixed position that was appropriate for yesterday when things are changing before your very eyes. This attack on the lay membership, that's what it's about the attack on the lay membership, which happens to be personified by 4 Socialist Party branch offices in London, is the most serious attack that any union right-wing has conducted, really I'd say, since the 1950s, at the time of the Electricians' Union, the EEPTU, where the activists on the left, when they lobbied their union offices down in Surrey, had to wear masks so they couldn't be identified, because them days, long before your modern technology of mobile phone cameras, they were photographed, they were filmed, and they were conducted and expelled from that union. They had to conduct a big struggle in that particular union. And this attack, this outrageous attack upon the membership's rights, upon the democratic rights, upon the fort itself, is a pre-emptive strike by this bureaucracy on a national level. Don't let's kid ourselves, just because it's London regional office that are doing it, it's been orchestrated at the top by Apprentice and by his acolytes, the likes of Kevin Nelson, the Orwellian sounding head of democratic services in your union. It couldn't be more undemocratic. It's been orchestrated as a preemptive strike because the union leaders know that what's coming for the local government members, for the health members, for all the other public sector workers represented by your union and other unions, is the biggest attack upon your conditions, upon your jobs, that's really there since the 1920s. As a matter of fact now, that you would have to say that it's quite consciously, it's not a mistake. Your union leadership will conduct and is conducting a scorched earth policy that they would rather wreck the union, starting with the branches, rather than let the union fall into the hands of those who are prepared to give a lead to the workers who want to fight the cuts that are coming their way, whether it's on jobs or wages or conditions or what have you. They would rather wreck the union than allow that to happen. There's a coming storm, unprecedented in recent history, as far as that's concerned. Whatever government comes to power, in a few weeks' time, whether it's a hung parliament or whatever, all the parliamentary arithmetic and equations have been debated in the pages of the press at the moment, that they will conduct, all the main parties have committed to conduct a massive attack upon public sector workers, including council workers. This isn't a conspiracy theory by the mad left, or the loony trots as they tend to call it. All the commentators now conduct a deep analysis. They know that the Labour movement isn't looking over their shoulders, the working class isn't looking over their shoulders. They're making a deep analysis, and that all the commentators agree that they have to conduct the biggest cuts in the public sector since records began. For instance, just give you one example. A bloke called John Lancaster, commentator in the London Review of Books, not exactly the Financial Times, but he made a few devastating points about what's coming. He's calculated that even if you ring-fence health, education, and only have zero growth in public spending for those two sectors, that will mean at least a 16% cut, including local government, across the rest of the public sector. That's never been known before. Even Thatcher, in her heyday, never conducted anything like those cuts. Her cuts came about by actually stopping growth in spending, zero growth in spending when inflation was going up. Now what the Labour, the Tories, or their friends the Liberal Party will do is carry out a complete scorched earth as far as the public sector is concerned. This fella, John Lancaster, went on to make a few points. If they cut 17% for instance, the Ministry of Justice, they'd have to shut down all the courts in the land. If they cut 16% in the prison service, and perhaps some of you wouldn't remind us too much, they'd have to close every prison in Britain. In other words, they're going to have to carry through these cuts, irrespective of what they do. And Thatcher, after all, because she just held down to zero growth, her public sector cuts at that particular time, in 1982, she became the most unpopular Prime Minister since records began, and she was only saved by the Falklands War, but on a wave of patriotism that allowed her to get back into power in 1983 itself.